Good evening, folks. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's live stream. We are doing Happy Hour with Hungry. I'm going to try to do this semi-regularly. Because I am the world's worst millennial, go ahead and let me know that you can hear me and everything's coming through on your end over in the comments. I'm trying to do the best I can with the internet connection I have here at the house. Because we are titling this Happy Hour, so drinking my own concoction. A little tequila, a little margarita mix, and a blue Curacao on top of that. So, yeah, it's a little potent depending on how much tequila you put in there. So if you're sipping on something this Friday night, go ahead and drop it in the comments. So we're going to talk about a few things tonight. I think one of the biggest things that we are seeing right now all over your feed, I know it's all over mine. I'm not sure how much it's on yours, is about the ATF and their proposed rule on pistol braces. So one of the neat things about the ATF, or not so neat things, is that they can come up with these rules and then they are enforced as a law. So it's definitely a way around the correct legislative process in this country, which is kind of crappy. So we're going to lead right into that as soon as some more people get on. What's everybody been up to here lately? Looks like we have one on right now. I think one of the biggest things here with this brace is that we have 90 days to comment. So I'm actually going to be dropping links once this video goes up on the regular channel so that you can go over there and leave a comment. I may even share with you the comment that I left for the ATF. It's important to keep that stuff clean. No foul language and things like that, as hard as it may be. I'm no fan of the ATF, so I get that 100%. But this pistol stabilizing rule on June 7th of this year, the Attorney General already signed it, so that's one step closer. They do have to open it to 90 days of comment. It's a bunch of words that don't leave us any more clearly defined on what we can or can't do. They've been back and forth on shoulder braces on whether or not it's okay to, or I should say stabilizing braces, whether or not it's okay to shoulder them, not okay to shoulder them. So that's no secret there. They've been looking for ways to hit us with those. So cheers to that. But this proposed rule is 2021R-08, factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces. It's going to amend their regulations to clarify when a rifle is intended to be fired from the shoulder. The proposed rule outlines the factors that the ATF would consider when evaluating firearms equipped with a purported stabilizing brace to determine whether these weapons would be considered a rifle or short-barreled rifle under the Gun Control Act of 1968 or a rifle or firearm subject to the regulations under the NFA. So for those who don't know what the NFA, big collection of stuff that determines how long your barrel can be, what can have a vertical grip, what can't have a vertical grip, suppressors, all of that falls under it. So it's $200 tax stamp and then an undetermined amount of waiting to see what they say, whether or not you get approved. So if you have a suppressor or SBR or anything like that, you've already been down that road before. It's pointless. So the big thing here, if they move forward with this, is going to be taking things that have stabilizing braces, and I can't show you anything during a live stream, but there'll be links in the description if you want to see what that looks like if you're unfamiliar. Anything that has a stabilizing brace would be treated as an SBR after this went into rule or law. So it is going to add a sentence to the definition of rifle that would, at the end of each definition, to clarify that the term rifle includes any weapon with a rifled barrel and equipped with an attached stabilizing brace that has objective design features and characteristics that indicate that the firearm is designed to be fired from the shoulder. It would set forth a worksheet for factoring criteria for short-barreled rifled weapons with accessories, commonly referred to as stabilizing braces, and that would be the 4999 worksheet, to aid the firearms industry and public in understanding the criteria that ATF considers when evaluating firearm samples that are submitted with the stabilizing brace or component or accessory. So, yeah, we have 90 days to submit comments. I did submit mine today. That started on June 10th, so you have till September 8th. So, yeah, good stuff there. Not really. But if you want to know just an example of what I put down for a comment, I'll read this to you. So, I can read and write. I know some of you guys are like, oh, he's from Georgia. Well, I can read and write. So I said the proposed ruling on pistol stabilizing braces is an affront to all citizens who value the rights enshrined in the Constitution. These braces help make the Second Amendment accessible to those with disabilities, smaller statured individuals, as well as offer the end user a degree of portability and maneuverability with their defensive arms. For decades, we have seen a wide-ranging variety of laws passed that have made it increasingly harder for citizens to stay within the confines of law, as these rules are often onerous, ambiguous, and hastily enacted with little regard for potential or real efficacy. The NFA as a whole is a prime example and needs to be repealed, as it arguably has done next to nothing to prevent crime. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these braces have been sold completely legally to owners who statistically, almost without exception, are never going to use their firearms in any illegal or nefarious manner. These brace owners are American men and women, mothers and fathers, whose Second Amendment rights are under constant attack from the ATF and other government agencies and branches. These are the men and women that these same government agencies are supposed to serve. Turning millions of gun owners into felons with the stroke of a pen is reprehensible and antithetical to the premise of the Constitution and America as an experiment in liberty. Not only should this proposed measure be scrapped, so too should the NFA, Gun Control Act of 1968, and any other potential infringements in the works. So that's just an example. It kind of went off there. It is kind of hard not to use profanity when directing your ire and frustration towards the ATF, but please don't do that, because that just makes us look bad, and they may ban it, and then you wouldn't have any real effect with your comment. So there is that. Comment down over below in the chat and let me know if you've already submitted a comment or if you are planning on it. And then we'll go from there. So for my Canadian viewers, I know I have a few. This one's kind of hard to relate to, but we're going to have more in the stream that's going to be a little bit better for you guys, I think. So there is that. But it's just, to me, it's frustrating because they're not doing this with a congressional hearing. They're not doing this in the way that laws are supposed to be passed in this country. It's a rule. It's kind of a backdoor approach to gun control. If you can pick people off one by one for what accessories they own, and then it becomes a felony, they lose their Second Amendment rights. So it's just kind of whittling away, which is really a bummer to me. So there is that. The other thing I wanted to cover tonight, and we can bounce around as questions come in or things like that. I'm open to that 100%. I am, if you guys missed the announcement, I am starting a part-time job next month at Mountain Man Armory in Jasper, Georgia. So if you're local, definitely go check them out. Even if you're not local, they have a website. They can do FFL transfers. You just have to call them. So that'll be fun. It'll be a great deal of experience where I can learn different things on how things go on the other side of the counter. So I'm looking forward to doing that. The owner, James, is a good buddy of mine. I've trained with him, with a little group of guys that I train with, and we always have a good time. So there is going to be that. That's about all the new stuff going on in my life, other than my normal job being shorthanded. So they are forcing a lot of overtime here lately, which is kind of a bummer. But that is more gun money. So go ahead and do the reveal. I am buying 2 Henry rifles from my neighbor, so that'll be fun. A 44 mag Henry and a 22. So that's the other big announcement going on there. You guys should be seeing those here soon, with help from the force overtime that I was already griping about. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. The other thing I want to kind of touch on is training. I've been getting a lot of people asking about how to make the most of your range time, how to practice proficiency and getting better with these skills. In light of the ammo situation, ammo is either hard to find, or when you find it, it's expensive. Dry fire training is normally my first recommendation, regardless of skill level, whether you're looking to get that sight alignment and trigger press under control, or you're looking to get faster from the holster. And I think we all are trying to get faster in that regard. Even Jerry Mitchell's probably still trying to shave time off his time. So dry fire is a good way to do that. Biggest thing there, just make sure your gun's unloaded. As always, I know that we're calling this happy hour. I'm doing a little sipping. Don't do things like that if you've been drinking. Just an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Make sure your firearm's unloaded. drop the mag, take all the ammo out of the mag. If you want to have a mag in and practice reloads, do it with unloaded mags. Clear the chamber. If you have a chamber flag, do that. Or if you have snap caps, and I normally have one laying around, I don't right now, throw a snap cap in there, just an inert cartridge. Whatever you got to do to make sure that you're going to be safe. Worst case scenario, you hurt somebody. Least worst case scenario, if you have a negligent discharge, is property damage, which would not be good all the way around. So dry fire is great. There are shot timers that are going to be better at picking up dry fire sounds, the sound of the striker or hammer falling rather than an actual gunshot. And for that, I actually have had best experience with apps on my phone as opposed to my packed Club 3 timer. It does better with gunfire and not the dry fire. But even if you're not going to use a shot timer or you don't have one yet, practicing your sight alignment, you can put a target up on the wall, or if you have walls like I do with wood and knots, and aim it, all sorts of stuff. That is over that shoulder. Yeah, that's a good dry fire target. I've used that before. So there's things like that. Damon says he uses a laser cartridge. I've heard really good things about those. I actually got to play with, I think it was the Cool Fire trainer at the IV 8888 range day. So Mantis was hooked up to the gun, the dry fire accelerometer magic thing. And they had the Cool Fire trainer with an inert laser cartridge inside. And that was working really well. It was neat to see not only where the shots were hitting on the practice targets, but also the movement that was happening pre-trigger press, post-trigger press, and all while that was going on. Kind of looking at that. So I do want to get a Mantis at some point. I was really impressed with what that offers in terms of feedback and kind of helps you see what you need to work on. Jacob says gun money's like ammo. You can never have enough. That is true, and I never do. I keep telling myself once these kids are grown and gone, then I'll have more gun money, but probably not. Based on how I did when I was an adult, I always needed gas money and things like that. What's going on, Victor? Victor is from Alaska. Black fly season yet up there? I've heard bad things about black flies. We had some in Minnesota on Boundary Water Strip, but I was told that those don't compare to the Alaskan black flies. So we just have mosquitoes down here. I think that's going to be our state bird in Georgia. These things are terrible. Yeah, Damon, I definitely want a Cool Fire. They look really cool. To be able to dry fire repetitively and have it cycle to action on your gun and stuff, that was cool. The other thing I got to play with was the Blackbeard AR-15, I don't know, adapter. Goes in the mag well. You replace the bolt carrier group, and it resets the trigger on your AR. I think you can do it like 10 times a second, which is way faster than I can shoot. But that was neat, too, to practice dry fire with your AR. So let's see. Looking at the comments. Oh, X bullets. Rubber bullet propelled by a primer. Oh, I'll have to check into that. That actually sounds a lot of fun, other than the fact that primers are really hard to get. I'm looking at my stash dwindling as I load. Yeah, the primers are going faster than I'd like them to go. So I actually have a friend right now working on reloading some primers and using a priming compound to get those things back into action. Mixed success there. The only downside that he's running into is that the compound is corrosive, kind of like a black powder. So you have to clean the gun every single time you shoot it with that stuff in there. Even though it's just in the primer, better safe than sorry. So I don't know how viable that is on a long-term scale, but it certainly beats not shooting if you run out of ammo. Again, if you guys missed it, I don't know what the proper name for this is. 1800 tequila, margarita mix, and blue Curacao. I don't know. It's good though. It's my blue drink. Deceptively girly looking, but pretty potent. I think there's like 3 shots worth of tequila in this one. So 1 or 2 of these, and yeah, that's 1 of those, and I'm not driving. 2 of those, and it's time to start looking for the bed. Anybody else sipping on anything? If you got recipes, let me know. I normally just stick to bourbon and tequila these days. Beer, I like it cold, and then I have to drink it really fast for it to stay cold this time of year, and then that's just never a good situation. So in case you guys were missing it, let me know in the comments if you've heard what the ATF is doing with these pistol braces. not a good thing. So I've got, I don't know, several things with braces on them. Not good. Not good at all. So if you haven't left a comment on the ATF's website, once this video goes up on YouTube, I'm not sure how long it takes for it to actually go up and be viewable, then I will put a link in the description so that you guys can go leave a comment. We have till September 8th to leave public comments. Remember, no profanity, nothing crazy. Maybe proofread it. I had to proofread mine. Spelling gets me sometimes. And just make sure that it's as professionally written as possible. That way it's taken into consideration. So Victor says old-fashioned, he'll stick to bourbon. I do like bourbon. I just tried the Lead Slingers bourbon not too long ago. Pretty good. I don't think it was aged very long, but it's definitely smooth. Let's see. Doug wants to know my favorite gun. Oh, I'd probably have to break that up in handguns and rifles and shotguns. So my favorite handgun, and don't crucify me if this changes in 6 months, a year, and tomorrow, currently is the Beretta M9A3. And I know that that's kind of, you guys could probably see that coming. I just like it. It's reliable. It's accurate. It's easy for me to shoot well. You know, with the Langdon tactical slide on it with the red dot, I don't feel like I'm giving anything up. It's got plenty of capacity. Put a light on it, the red dot. I just love it. And the aesthetics. Don't have it on me. And even if I did, I can't show it on live streams because YouTube says that that's not okay. So actually, Andrew from Work the Trigger said they had a live stream cut short one time just for showing a gun during the process of it. So bummer there. Let's see. As far as favorite rifles, I know I should say AR-15, and I really do love my ARs. I think that everybody that can own one should, but I really am just a 10-22 guy. Ruger 10-22 is just kind of, I think a lot of us that grew up shooting, that's kind of one of the first guns. It was one of the first guns I got to shoot that you could fire multiple rounds without working a bolt or loading another round. So once my dad realized I was actually trying to hit targets and not just blasting away, I got handed the 10-22. So the 10-22 will always have a soft spot in my heart. Favorite shotgun. It would be a tie between the Remington 870 and the Mossberg 500. I like pump shotguns. I have a few shotguns. I only have one pump right now. It's actually the Maverick 88, which is kind of a Mossberg 500 clone. It's actually made by Mossberg, but I like a pump shotgun. Easy to run, I guess, and it just works for me. So 22 pistols are fun too, Doug, for sure. I was actually surprised at how many 22s I got last year. The Taurus TX 22, Ruger LCP 2 and 22. I'm looking over at the safe in case you guys are wondering. Trying to remember. I think that's all the 22 pistols I bought. But I actually messed with a Keltec CP33 the other day, and that's going to happen eventually. So Damon's just on cold Coke. Hey, nothing wrong with that at all. Doug's sipping a beer. Hey, Victor, thank you for leaving the comments on both of those for sure, man. You know, we did get one of these things turned around apparently with the volume of comments in opposition to. So I'm kind of hoping that's what happens here. Let's see here. Oh, binary trigger on the 10-22. I've been looking at that for the mini Chongus build I did, which is just the 10-22 charger, in case you didn't see it, with a folding brace adapter. Ironic, given the main point of tonight's live stream, but that is a lot of fun. All my friends come over and shoot. I have to hand them that and let them run a couple mags. But the binary trigger would definitely set that thing apart. NA Diesel Girl wants to know favorite lever rifle. Marlin 22A in 1895. Like a 357 at some point. So right now, the only lever gun I own is the Marlin 336C. It's on my pegboard wall of whatever over there in 30-30. So if I go with rifles I own, well, that's the obvious winner. The Henry Model X 357, I got to play with it at the Gundy's in January, and I really want one in 357. I am getting that Henry 44 here soon. That should be a lot of fun. I'm going to start reloading 44 mag, obviously, because I'm not going to pay to shoot that as much as I'd like to at retail cost. But that should be a lot of fun, so stay tuned for that for sure. There was somebody talking about a drink. Oh, wondered if it was Kool-Aid and grain alcohol. No, that's tequila tonight. I do have some stuff that comes in a clear jar. This is water. I did a live stream with Work the Trigger, and I think it was Builder Shooter, Manny Things. I can't remember who else was on there, and they're from all up north, up yonder. So you get this Georgia guy on a live stream that's sitting there through the whole thing, sipping water out of a mason jar, and they all thought I was drinking moonshine. So that was pretty good. I shouldn't have told them any different and just started slurring my words as the night went on. So, hey, what's going on, Gun Snob? Hope you're doing good, man. Kyle and Steve and I missed you at the IV-88 shoot. We were talking about it would have been cool if we had a reunion with you. They're doing another one in October, though. See, G23, what's going on, man? Doug says moonshining. I know some guys. Not even going to begin to say any more than that because they kind of scare me a little bit. So that's yeah. There's some old timers in these hills. In case you guys wonder, where I live is definitely Appalachia. Kind of grew up down here near Springer Mountain, which is the southernmost point in the Appalachian Trail, and there's still some very old school old timers in these hollers. They're kind of like the live and let live kind of folks, so that's good. My kind of people. Let's see here. Making sure I don't miss any comments. G23, I need to do that. Actually, I'm off tomorrow night, so shoot me an email, thehungryhandgunner@gmail.com. I'm off tomorrow night, so I don't have anything going on. I did get forced for overtime Sunday. I was supposed to have all 3 days off. That's 2 off-day blocks they've got me for overtime here lately, so working a lot there. I'm definitely down to get on the panel, though, if you want me there. So I was trying to see earlier, just to track how many comments had come in on that page for the ATF, but I have not seen anything yet. Let me know anything in terms of just how many comments have come in, which is kind of a bummer, but there is that. I'm trying to see it now. I'm going to look it up. Y'all just bear with me. So there's 89 more days to leave comments. Looks like 273 are up right now. So that's not great, but still early on. I have faith the gun community is going to come together and fight this. For those of you that don't know, I know the NFA was passed in 1934, I want to say. My history may be a little messed up there. Basically, you had all the prohibition going on and things like that, and they passed this wide-ranging set of laws, cover short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, suppressors. I know I'm forgetting things. Vertical foregrip's not okay. Vertical foregrip's okay if the barrel's this long. If it has a stock, it's okay. If it doesn't have a stock, whatever. And their whole marketing scheme behind this was to cut down on the crime that was going on with prohibition. So what actually ended up cutting down on that crime was the ending of prohibition, not the NFA. But here we are today. $200 tax stamp for short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, suppressors. And we're actually, as much as I balk at that price, we're kind of lucky that it hasn't gone up because it hasn't changed since 1934. If it had increased with inflation, it would absolutely be a major barrier, as it was intended to be then. It was a cost-prohibitive thing. So kind of gun control based on class, if you will. So it's been a highly ineffective set of laws, in my opinion, from the get-go, but they would be adding pistol braces to that, which would really be a bummer. And even if they opened up kind of a grandfather period to get things registered and waive the $200 fee, I'm still not okay with that, because who's to say that somebody doesn't want to build something later? And pistol braces come in handy for people with disabilities. You know, if my arm injury was much worse, maybe that would be the only type of AR or even my 10-22 pistol that I could shoot, is if I had a brace to secure it to the other arm or whatever. Smaller statured individuals, things like that. Not to mention they do allow you to get a little bit more maneuverable inside your house for home defense and whatever. So any kind of gun law at this point, I'm of the opinion that that's an infringement. So there is that. Damon, have a good night, man. Thanks for jumping in for a bit. Victor says, we have several Winchesters, several Henrys, favorites 45 long Henry, and they're all lever action. I've heard good things about the Winchesters. I think I shot an 1894 and 30-30, but it's been a long time. Starting to get more into the lever action stuff. I think I have, this might be gun blasphemy, but I think I have all the semi-auto centerfire rifles I need right now. Don't crucify me for that. But I think I'm good. So I'm starting to get more into bolt actions and lever actions. I kind of did the bolt action 5.56, the Ruger American, and the 7.62 by 39. So I'm branching out a little bit. And then let's see. Don't be surprised if the numbers flex back and forth. They've been known to do that. I'll have to keep an eye on it. I'm relatively new. And again, don't crucify me to this. I just didn't know that there was a pathway for us to make our voices heard on things like this, up until maybe a year and a half ago. So I'm relatively new to this side of civic responsibility, trying to stay informed, trying to get other people to be informed and active. So I'll keep an eye on those numbers for sure. NA Diesel Girl says, considering both parties want to raise the gas tax due to inflation, I wouldn't pass them to raise the NRA tax. That's a good point. I've seen several things coming out about raising the gas tax, which is, they're already making an arm and a leg over that. And at least here in my state, as far as I know, that's supposed to go towards maintaining roadways. The potholes that have led to chiropractic visits would say that that's not happening here. So there is that. Doug says they're looking to win the battle, not the war. I think they're going to win both of them. If we don't, we just got to put our foot down. And I don't know how to do that without, how can I word this? I don't know how much more vocal we can be. I think we have said over and over and over till we're blue in the face that we don't want to entertain the idea of any more infringement, any more laws. We've put statistics, at least I have. You can take statistics and put them out there and say, look, you're trying to regulate and legislate these types of weapons that are very, very rarely used in any sort of crime. The vast majority of people that own things like AR-15s, pistol braces, large format pistols, if you will, they're not being used for anything bad. And you can provide all the statistics, you can provide all the facts, and it doesn't hold any sway with not even politicians, just people that want them banned. So I used to think that these people were just ill-informed, that they weren't really malicious. They were just ill-informed. Like, oh my God, there's a problem, and they don't understand the particulars, so it's just gun scary. We need to ban them. And there was a very brief period in my adult life where those kind of people could be swayed with the statistics, the facts, the research. And now it seems like, well, I don't care about that. There's still people dying. So anything we can do, regardless if people like you get turned into criminals, we need to do that. So I'm not sure where to go. Words are failing. Logic's failing. Right is no longer right and wrong is no longer wrong. We've kind of entered an age of relevancy where everything's relevant. And who am I to tell you what your reality is, and vice versa? So, there's always a lot of gray area in life, in my opinion, but some things just are, numbers and facts and things like that, that they are what they are. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them doesn't change that. Hey, Gun Snob, thanks for kicking in, man. Take care and have a good night. Doug said the feds print money like crazy. No need to tax us anyways. Yeah, that's one thing that's worried me, and I don't mean to get too deep off in the woods here with politics and things like that. It's just the stimulus payments, and the big thing there is just the money going to other countries, and just like I'm looking at debt to income and whatnot. And I know that if I ran my household expenses the way that it looks like they're running it, things wouldn't go good. I wouldn't have a house for long. Victor says, never say that you have enough tools. No, I just mean that my needs are checked off. Needs have probably been checked off for a long time. It's all about wants now. But I'm trying to get to where I could shoot a gun a day for 90 days and be good. Use a different gun each day. I mean, not there yet, but that's my plan. And then maybe eventually get up to a gun a day for a year, different gun. I hope my wife's not watching this. She's probably in there having a stroke. Doug said, recently lost all my guns in a boating accident, similar to the one at Demolition Ranch encountered. You know, I've seen the whole lost my guns in a boating accident thing. But the way he did that at the end of the video, if you guys haven't checked out Demo Ranch's 10 million sub video where he kind of has everything he owns, for the most part, out, that's pretty cool. It was pretty neat to see. And then the ending was very nice. I don't want to ruin it. NA Diesel Girl says, nope, it's an emotional, not statistical. Sadly, plenty of other preventable things that kill a whole lot more people. You're absolutely right. And the one thing for me is if guns are this evil thing, and if we can agree that sometimes bad people get their hands on guns, we need to be looking at how that happens. So somebody like me is not going to sell a felon a gun. If I do a private sale here in the state of Georgia, you have a carry permit that's good enough for a background check at a gun shop. And yes, you can be eligible to buy a firearm even if you don't have your carry permit, but I don't have the ability to check that. So if I do a private sale, which I don't do many, I want to see a copy or their permit or something like that, and I do a bill of sale and everything's good. If they don't have a carry permit, I don't sell it to them. So again, I know that technically they may be able to have that gun and just not have a carry permit, but that's not a risk I'm willing to take. So these criminals aren't getting these guns from people like me or probably people like you. They're getting them nefariously. They're stealing them or somebody else is stealing them, and then they're getting their hands on them. So in my opinion, if we have to pass more laws, which I don't think we do, I think it comes down to sentencing. If you get somebody, most of the time these people that are killing people and shooting people and things like that, that's not their first rodeo with the law. A lot of them are prohibited possessors for prior violent crimes. So if you hit them harder for having a gun when they shouldn't, make an example out of them, then maybe people like us, maybe we don't have to pay the price. So there is that. That's just my thoughts on it. If we have to go a direction, then that's what we need to do. The other thing is a lot of these shootings are taking place in gun-free zones. So my personal pontification on that is get away with that, or get away from that. Stop making areas basically like corralling sheep for people to be killed. So yeah, Doug says 20,000 plus laws already. It is surprisingly easy to break a law here in the United States. Very easy. I forget the statistics, but something like the average person commits, I can't remember if it's 3 felonies or breaks 3 laws, or I don't know the severity of the laws they break, but there was something that said the average person breaks 3 laws. We'll just leave it at that, a day. So yeah, it's definitely bad. And we do incarcerate the largest amount of people in the world. So there's something to be said for that. We're all paying for that too. Chicago doesn't enforce their gun laws. No, they don't. Chicago is a pretty prime example of how ink on paper doesn't stop much of this. Victor said, socialism cannot be swayed. It has to be stopped. Yes. I saw a shirt the other day. It said, socialism, you can vote your way in, but you're going to have to shoot your way out. And historically that bears out. I think that's the scariest thing for me is these people are easily casting their vote for this sort of government power and overreach just by checking a box on a ballot. But it's going to fall to us or maybe our children or grandchildren to do the hard work to get out of that later on. Not sure how much I can say on YouTube. Theoretically, fight a war to get that damage undone. Venezuela is a perfect example of that. You're exactly right, Doug. There was a brief moment in my life where a buddy pitched a plan to me to run Nerf guns, we'll call them Nerf guns, down to Venezuela. And if I didn't have kids, there was some money to be made there, as well as just, it seemed like the morally right thing to do. Go down in history, right? Also, Doug said he won't sell to people he doesn't know. I think that's a solid plan. I typically will stick to that. So G23 said, has anyone heard of the 3 people that were arrested for buying 57 guns for straw purchases? No, I hadn't heard of that. My brother was actually a gunsmith for a while, worked in a gun shop. He didn't spend a whole lot of time behind the counter, but he mostly worked back in the back, working on guns. And to this day is extremely knowledgeable and talented, and I actually go to him with a lot of questions. But he has told me some stories about some real fishy people going in. And then my buddy James, that I'll be working for here soon, part-time, he has told me some interesting things too. So one of the cool things, I guess, that the gun shops have discretion over whether or not they sell, at least here in Georgia. I know each state has their own laws to that extent. But that does kind of scare me. Like, I don't want to sell somebody something that shouldn't have it, but at the same time, I don't want to, infringe on anybody's rights either. Jacob says he doesn't recognize gun-free zones. I'm going to nod my head, and I'm not going to say anything, just in case, for legal purposes. But I'll give you a thumbs up on that one. Russia and Eastern Europe from NA Diesel Girl show a lot of communism, or got rid of a lot of communism, but it's still a mess. They're still missing basic rights that exist elsewhere. Yes, that's one big thing, is even once you get rid of the overall system, there's still a mentality that follows it for generations afterwards. So the dehumanizing, I think we're starting to see that now, that anybody that disagrees with the main narrative here, and it's bigger than left and right. So whether you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever, it's a lot bigger than that. But there's kind of this main push, and anybody that disagrees with that, you're seeing the dehumanization starting. We're referred to as less than human. We're mongoloids. We're whatever. Very rarely are we considered people. And historically, once that starts, you start down a path where it becomes that much easier to end the lives of people that you don't consider humans anymore. So, not to get too dark and dreary, but just keep an eye on that and see how it meshes up with the historical timeline. Hopefully, we don't go that far down the path, but historically, not looking good. Doug said, people say there are no background checks, yet every gun purchase I make, even with my credit card, I have to be, or concealed carry, CC, credit card, concealed carry, I have to be background checked. Yes, exactly. Even gun shows, I hear about the gun show loophole. I've bought guns at gun shows, not recently. You used to be able to find good deals. You don't see that very often anymore. I had to do a background check or have it shipped to an FFL where I could do a background check. So I've never seen the loophole. NA Diesel Girl, someone have great stories from the gun shop. I can only imagine. Just a little bit I've seen being in the gun shops. When people come in, some of the things I've heard, it's going to be fun. And I don't mean that to make fun of people new to firearms. It's not what I'm saying. Just in general, there's a lot of, we'll call it FUD lore, things that have been accepted as fact despite demonstrable evidence to the contrary, that I still hear repeated a lot. Things like rock salt's a good idea for home defense. I hope I don't make somebody mad on a live stream. I haven't done enough live streams to really make people mad, but I really hope I don't. You guys, I'll go through some FUD lore. So hillbillies, hey, now those are my people, Doug. Don't go off of my people like that. Yeah, rock salt for home defense. Shoot them in the leg because you don't want to kill them, but that negates anatomy, and you got femoral arteries, and you could miss and hit somebody else. So there's that. Shotgun is the absolute best tool for home defense. So anytime, this one's going to get complicated, but anytime somebody says anything is the absolute best tool, I treat that with a grain of salt, not necessarily referencing the rock salt thing. Everybody's house is probably laid out a little different. Everybody's household is a little bit different. So I've got young kids. Depending on how many proficient shooters you have in the house, the layout of your home, where the bedrooms are in relation to what angles you might have to utilize if somebody's in your home and you have to shoot. Shotgun may be the best bet for you. It may also be the worst for you. So for me, shotgun's not really a good idea. It's a two-handed gun. Even using a semi-auto shotgun, it's a two-handed gun, limited capacity, tremendous power. If you look at tests showing drywall penetration and things like that, which most of my house is this tongue and groove stuff. So don't know how that compares. I treat it like drywall. It's probably harder than, but still, and some of my angles involve compromised positions. So shotgun is not my go-to. I would either go for a 5.56 with all the hearing damage it can do unsuppressed inside, even with that. Or a 9mm handgun is actually my go-to, just because I may have to move my kids. On a good day, they listen about 50% of the time. In the middle of a oh shit situation, I look for that percentage to drop considerably, especially if there's loud noises. So I may have to grab them, and I need a gun that I can reasonably expect to use with one hand. So handgun for me is kind of the go-to. Doug said his wife worked in a gun shop and encountered some real strange people. There are some people that I know and have seen personally. It looks like they only break their solitary existence to come to the gun shop. And that awkwardness is apparent. NA Diesel Girl says, refreshing to hear someone with that take about dehumanization. When it's just red versus blue, it's a binary and leads right to conflict. Exactly. And the polarization is part of the issue with the politics right now. I think everybody is on a spectrum. I don't mean the autism one. If that's applicable, I'm sorry. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but everybody's kind of on a political spectrum. There are some things they're going to lean left on, some things they're going to lean right on, and some things they're going to fall in the middle. So when it's just my team versus your team and no nuanced discussion on the actual policies or aspects of the politics, that cheapens the political discourse. It turns into a yelling match. It kind of turns into what we've seen here lately. So it's definitely a lot more nuanced than just vote red or vote blue. I know people that voted both ways, and on the surface, if you judge them just on that, may not make sense. But when you look at why they made the choice they did, it starts to make a little more sense. If you can empathize, and a lot of that just comes down to just talking to people, having real conversations, and being vulnerable. Jacob says, what drives me nuts is people in gun stores without muzzle control. Me too. That's one thing I've heard from several people that work in gun shops is the amount of times that somebody has told them a gun is unloaded only to awkwardly find a round chambered is disconcerting, especially like you said with the lack of muzzle control. Doug said 2 shots into the sky, Joe Biden guide to self-defense. Oh boy, that was kind of when I knew that he wasn't an authority on anything having to do with guns. He said, I'm not anti-gun, buy a shotgun, and then followed that up with 2 blasts into the air. Well, now your gun's unloaded, and there's lead or whatever you had in there falling down on people. Breaks all the rules. So, all right, guys, I'm going to hop off of here now, I believe, and do a little sipping as part of happy hour. But I enjoyed doing this, a little different format. I'm going to try to do these a little bit more, plan them out a little bit better, and work on some of the awkwardness there at the beginning. Just waiting on people to come on and not lead right into it. So again, there is going to be links in the description to go comment on the ATF's proposed rule for these pistol braces. Remember to keep them respectful, keep them clean. Just present your thoughts on why they shouldn't move forward with this. But do remember that you are a face for the 2A community. So make it as professional as possible. Guys, I enjoyed doing this with you. Thank you for everybody that's been in the comments. Victor, Doug, NA Diesel Girl, y'all rock. Hey, NA Diesel Girl with the super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. You guys rock. And I'll let you know soon on doing these. So stay safe. Keep shooting if you can. Keep dry firing if you can't. And I'll see you next time.